Hi, my name is Tanya and welcome back to my garden. It has been about 10 days since I did the last walk around. We have had a crazy nearly 2 weeks. We've had a day of 42 degrees. Today I'm sitting here in a jumper. It's 18 degrees and rain outside. We've had a blackout for 24 hours, surrounded by fires, and I've been away for a couple of days. But the garden continues to grow and produce food. So today I want to have a little walk around and just see what we can find and is ready to harvest. I've already had a taste of a couple of tomatoes. Unfortunately, a possum or a bird got the first 2 of my tomatoes, but that's okay. I'm happy to share. Now, I'm walking along the gala apples, these dwarf gala apples. The cockatoos came in, you might have saw at the start, and started just breaking them open, picking them and breaking them open and taking the seeds out of the middle of them. This net is left over from our trampoline. I saved it. We pulled it apart about 2 months ago and I saved it, and I've just cut it up and stretched it over, and it has been the perfect length and width for my apples. So maybe we can get some apples later on. Everything is flourishing. All these herbs are just at their best as long as I keep the water up to them. Like I said, we had a really hot day and a lot of things suffered but have come back. I come out and use these herbs when I need them. I tend not to preserve them because we have them most times of the year. And this is the Russian giant red rhubarb. Okay, let's venture up there because that is where all the growth has happened. Look at those tomatoes. They've exploded. I've got my baskets. I'm not sure how much there is to pick, but I'm going to pick enough for a meal tonight or to add to meals tonight. We've got these Lebanese zucchinis that I put seeds in, and every seed took and grew. So they're going to be filling that pot very quickly. And up here we have a lot of pumpkins, and I just wanted to do this overhead view just so you could see that this is not a big garden. I stepped it out and it is around 10 meters along the apples and 7 meters across the other way. So it's not big. Now in that space, it includes the 2 beds that I am not using. The hoop where the pumpkins are growing is going to be a secondhand glass house that I'm going to set up, and I will have growing frames either side of that. But let's pick some things. These are the cucumbers, and they look very prolific. So let's hope that that stays that way. I've got many cucumbers planted, different types, so I'll be looking forward to just seeing which ones we like the most. In this bed along here, there is my rhubarb. I've got 3 or 4 plants there, and this is where I put in the crookneck pumpkins last walk around, and I had transplanted some watermelon seedlings that came up. None of them survived. My spaghetti squash got eaten, or it disintegrated in the 40-degree heat. I have got some tomatoes, and that's another crookneck pumpkin. I have got some tomatoes which I may plant there. I'm not quite sure. This is the other side of the herb bed. I've got chamomile and pineapple sage. But I'm going to start with some rhubarb. We love rhubarb. I love cooking with rhubarb. I like to cook it up and put it in the freezer so it's ready to go for pies and crumbles. That's what we usually use it for. And that's a nice little harvest there that will make a crumble. Plenty. I'm only picking what I need. I'm not just going to run around and pick anything and everything. I just want to pick what I need, and then I can keep picking as we need it during the week. These had the covers over them, these little tomatoes, and on the hot day, and they did get a little burnt, but I've taken the covers off, been hanging over and in under the covers, and I've put this little frame around them to try and hold them up so that, because they're very weak, they've had a lot of fast growth, and hopefully it won't take too long. These are the button squash, and we've got basil in there with those, and I've got a big copper here with basil that I seeded. Over this side we have sunflowers. These were very similar in the last video to the tomatoes, and they have firmed up and are growing a lot hardier than they were. And it looks like there is like a little flower center coming up in the middle. These are the pumpkins. I have been cutting back a lot of the older leaves. There's a lot of flowers in amongst it. I want there to be enough air in around there because we are having rain and hot days. So I'm cutting back old leaves. Anything that looks a little diseased, I'm taking off, letting the air flow. I finished my little fence, and I was very happy to have that done. I did leave the apple prunings too long, and it had the hot day on it, and they were quite brittle by the time I was trying to leave them. But it looks fine, and I guess it'll work out. Now, these are the purple climbing beans. And over this side, there are rock melons and melons that back onto cucumbers on the other side of the wire. So they are all sort of growing in together. And these are the spring onions that I had just seeded in the last video. So they are through the ground. I've got 3 more lots over the other side with the pumpkins, and just trying to trail everything up the wire. And these are the rainbow chard that I transplanted. They were looking really dead last time, but they've come back, most of them, and are looking quite good. We've got 2 watermelons and 2 rock melons. They are growing so fast at this time of year that every day I come up and weave it through the wire. And there's a little cucumber coming across the other side. But they should all grow happy together there. The parsley has really kicked on there at the corner. I've been using that. And this is the cucumber Space Master. And there's a tiny little one there. And it is quite prolific as well. There are a lot of flowers in amongst these. I think I've got about 5 of these plants. So we are going to have plenty of cucumbers. And last night I spent, I don't know how many hours up here cutting back all the leaves, letting air move through these tomatoes and the other ones the other side. That is why my hands are stained. And they had just grown and flopped down. I hadn't tied them up. And so when I got back into town, that was a priority job because we had rain forecast and I did not want all these being damaged. So I'm not sure if I pruned them correctly or cut back the leaves correctly, but the air is getting in around them, and I was able to tie them up so that they can straighten up a bit because they were all across the path. Now moving across, and yes, here we go. Ripe tomatoes. The season has started. It's very exciting. These are the tomatoes I have tried, along with the bird and the possum. This is the first variety that has had fruit right from the start. There is so much fruit here hanging at the front. It is very prolific. Because there really shouldn't be this many tomatoes in one bed, but that is all the room I had, so I put them in here and they have grown These are the Black Russians. They are still a long way off, and I think probably at the same stage as the Tasmanian chocolate, which are quite late. And I've got the chocolate cherry, which have all of a sudden ripened up as cherry tomatoes do. You have fruit there, and then all of a sudden the next day they're ripe. We try to eat in the season, so very few tomatoes in the off season, and then when tomato season is here, or cucumber season, that is when we eat. And then by the time that season is over, we are sick of it, so we want a rest from eating those different things. I've had to net all of this because of the the tomatoes that were raided. I'm hoping to find some black netting or something else, and I have saved the poles from the old trampoline, so I'm hoping to be able to use those and just wrap a big net around that I can lift up. I don't know, I'm just going to have to MacGyver something up. I think it's because the cherry tomatoes this end have just grown so much over the height of the frame that I cannot put a net over the top. These are the San Marzano, which there is a lot of fruit there. It is all still green. That's why another reason I am trimming back tomato leaves, just to let the air in and to let a bit of light through. And I have some beetroot in there as well. The mini sweet yellow, these have all of a sudden got fruit on them. And I had the chilies there in the middle. I am really quite amazed. I have never grown capsicums that have had this much fruit on them. It's something that I have not experienced, so the weather must be good for them. I am hoping to get these and overwinter them in my glasshouse, if I can get my glasshouse up in time. There is the beetroot. Let's head around the other side and grab that cherry tomato that I missed. These are some more San Marzano. I have 2 plants there that are coming up, and I'm tying to the frame that goes over, and they get a bit more shade but seem to have fruit nonetheless. And there is another row of beetroot. That is the Black Russian this side, and those fruit are very immature. This is the arch that goes over. It's just a bit of Rio mesh, and I'll take these back to add to the rest. Not too bad. This is the salvia cutting, or one of them that has grown, and these are the purple climbing beans, all in flower. So I think by the next video I should be picking purple beans. Hopefully before then. They are something that I absolutely love. I love to snack on them in the garden, and I love to add them to my cooking, and I may have plenty that I can freeze some. It is very lush. It's a lot of bulk there, and that was the first planting of them. They've come right up past the halfway mark and double back on themselves. So there's plenty of flowers, and that was the second planting. We're back here at the rainbow chard that is continuing to go to seed because of our weather that is hot and cold all the time. I am just chopping these back. I'm going to give them to my neighbour's chooks, and we're going to pull up these few beetroot that I didn't realise were in here. And they look pretty good. I'm going to keep the leaves for my neighbour's chooks. They will absolutely love those, and that is a row of beetroot that I planted when I planted the other things along there. The capsicums and the eggplant. The colour I just absolutely love. These look like great beetroot, and I will cook these tonight, roast them up probably. Keeping all these leaves, and I'm just going to chop them back, tidy up this part. Now there's a big hole there where the beetroot were. I am seriously thinking about waiting for the other rainbow chard in where the pumpkins are, and just waiting for that to take off, and I'm going to clear out this part, build up the bed a bit with some compost, and get some carrots in ready for the end of summer, start of autumn. So there is going to be a big patch there, and it's either I plant more rainbow chard or I can just pull up the others that if they continue to go to seed. These are the newer beetroot, and these are the eggplant that have got some sort of thing living on them that's eating the leaves, and it's very thick in there. There is no fruit as yet, but there are plenty of flowers. That is a cucumber that I put some seeds in to soak, and I put them there before I bought any other cucumber plants. So that is a different type, and these are the long sweet capsicum. This one got eaten into, but there are so many there, and I have never seen a time like this. Capsicum, it is the year of the capsicum. I have rows of beetroot between all of these, and that row there was not looking so good. It's not getting enough light, but the others seem to be fine. They are bulbing up and looking not too bad. These are the last row, and this is the sweet mix capsicum, still a lot of fruit on it. And then this is the Tasmanian chocolate. It is such a sturdy little bush, and it's so strong. It's like a little tree, and the fruit are just on that opaque white edge, some of them, and that tells me that they are on the way to ripening up. Look at all the fruit. I cannot believe how a little plant can have such big, fleshy fruit on it. This is the capsicum that had some sort of thing on it. I'm not quite sure it was, but I trimmed it back and gave it some air. This is the pear tree and it has had pear slug on it. I have treated it a few times with wood ash and I can't seem to find any of the slugs on it, but maybe they've already, I'm not sure, laid eggs or done the damage. Hopefully the fruit will come out okay, but I have to keep an eye on that and read up on it maybe. These are the bedding dahlias. I'm glad I put these in instead of zinnias. I was trying to decide which one, and I'm glad I put these in because I am absolutely loving these bright little flowers. This cerise colour in particular, and maybe that one as well. But they had a bit of damage from the heat. The pomegranate is flowering but no fruit. Maybe I need a second pomegranate. And this is a pineapple sage that broke off and I stuck it in a bucket of water. And this is the perpetual spinach, of which I will pick some of this. These are the overflow tubs. I've got some strawberries in this barrel and these were the markdown seedlings I bought. A punnet of capsicum for $1, another punnet of the rainbow romas for $1. So an investment of $2. We'll see how we go. The second parsley plant is growing as well. This is my little harvest. Stay tuned if you want to see what I made with it. I've put some footage at the end, and that is the basket of chard leaves for the chooks. These are the other salvia cuttings that I put in. I thought this one died, but it has started to take off. We are still picking the odd raspberry, but they are definitely coming to an end, and I need to trim back some old branches because they are covering the pathway. And here is another aerial or up higher view of my garden, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a safe and happy festive season. If you are one to celebrate, if not, stay safe and enjoy the holiday break. Bye for now.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city light. Hey darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful